You are mighty.
Hello everyone. My name is Ajibola and you're welcome to my channel Ajib Sims. If you are a first timer, you're very much welcome. And returning subscribers, viewers, I love you so much. I'm going to be teaching you on how to make this Victorian corset dress. As you can see, my beautiful client rocking has the longer version of it, and it has a kind of twist at the back. It has a zip from the top to the bottom and also an eyelet, unlike the previous one. So if this is what you would like to learn, kindly hit on that subscription and the notification bell. Also, do not forget to like and share this video to your friends and loved ones, guys. So this video actually in three parts. I've already released the first part, and this is the second part. The third part will be about the dartless white lace. Yes, that is a lace dress without darts with funnel sleeves. So you see why I told you guys to hit on your notification bell. So let me run you through the things we'll be needing for this video. We'll be making use of our patterns that we drafted in the previous video. I'll be putting the link in the description box for those who haven't watched it yet. And we'll be making use of a pin cushion. We'll be making use of our pattern master ruler, making use of our measurement book, a scissors, a fabric pen. Guys, I saw this pen and I decided to try it. It's actually cheap. I think I got it for 200 naira in the market. So we'll be making use of it. We'll make use of our tape measure. We'll be making use of this fabric. I got it in 2 yards. It's called silk. I don't know what it's called at your place. I got it in navy blue color. Making use of bonings. These were the remnants of bonings I had by the time I did this video. That's the Regeline and the plastic boning, but we'll be making use of the plastic boning alone for this project. I'll be making use of this zipper and thread in matching color with the fabric. We'll be making use of this chalk, should in case the fabric pen do not come out as expected. I'm making use of this interfacing. This is the lightest weight interfacing called paper stay. I'm making use of this grommet and eyelets that I got online. And let's go straight to the tutorial. So we're going to start by folding our fabric into two like this, because we'll be cutting for the lining and cutting for the main fabric. Yes, I'll be using the same fabric as the lining for the top part of the dress, and as you can see, I'm ironing my fabric neatly to be in place and for the wrinkles to come off it. After ironing, I'm going to place my center front of my bustier on it this way, leaving ½ inch at the front side there, because I'm going to be having a seam line there for the boning. That is, I will be putting my boning in the middle of the center front. I'll be creating a panel there. But if you don't want a boning at the center, you don't need to leave that ½ inch there. You just put your pattern on the center fold of your fabric directly. So I'm just going to pin my pattern in place so that it won't move from side to side. Then I'm going to add seam allowances all round. Remember, we did not add seam allowances when we were drafting the pattern. So I'm going to be adding ½ inch all round except the bottom of the pattern. I'm going to be adding 1.5. Guys, in this video I made use of 2 inches, which was, now I discovered that it became too long. I had to cut off, so I'll be adding 0.5 here as well, all round with my fabric pen like this. I'm just going to show you this first example, then the rest of the pattern will be cut off camera. Then at the bottom of the fabric of the pattern, I'm going to be adding 1.5 here, but I later added 2 inches, which was a mistake I made. It became too much for the garments, and I started cutting it off, but I'll be making use of 1.5. You can make use of 2 inches depending on how much seam allowance you use in sewing, but I discovered 2 inches was too much for me, so I'll advise you to make use of 1.5. So I'm just going to connect the dots like this together so that I'll be able to cut it out. And so after cutting each pattern this way, you can see every pieces have been cut for both the front, the back, the skirt area as well. And for the top part of my bustier, I used the same fabric as the lining. So except the skirt part, the fabric wasn't sufficient. And I saw there was no need for that because the silk was quite thick. So not too thick, but quite a little bit thick. So right now what I'm going to do is to weave the edges all round for each pattern because the fabric frays a lot. You can see the threads coming out of the edges. So I'm going to take it to my machine to weave. When that is done, I went ahead to iron my interfacing to the part I'll be using for the lining. You can see that I've weaved all the patterns out, and we're going to start with the top part of the dress, that is the bustier part. So right now I'm trying to separate the lining from the main fabric. The lining fabric, they are the ones with the interfacing, while the main fabric are just the ordinary ones. And guys, again, I would emphasize this: label your fabric. That is, write whatever description you see on your pattern paper, write it on the fabric, little, the ones you'll be able to recognize and know. Label the top, label the bottom, because it's going to be quite confusing because you have a lot of pieces. So you label your right side, your wrong side, label the top, label the back, label the center, front, the side, front, center, back, and the likes. Label where your zipper will also be. Guys, it is crucial so that you will not end up getting confused. So right now I'm just showing you that I'm going to start with the center front of the bustier. I'm going to sew my seam allowance of 1/2 inch at the center front. Remember that there is going to be a casing there, the boning casing. So I'm going to sew it out, and right now I just want to show you how you can sew it, especially if you're a beginner. I'm marking out the 1/2 inch on the center front. If you don't want a boning casing to be at the center front of your corset, skip it. There's no even need for you to sew it because you'll be cutting it on the center fold. So I'm just going to draw my 1/2 inch. And another rule for sewing as well, not only for corset, is that make sure that the allowance you give to your pattern is what you are actually taking. If you take less or greater than that, you're going to encounter some problems. So right now, this is it for the lining. The center, I've already joined it together. I'm going to take it to my iron and iron the seam out so that it's going to be nice and flat. And after ironing it, I'm going to sew it downwards to create our casing. So I'll do the same for the main fabric as well. So I'm just showing you that after that is done as well, I'm going to join the side of the front. I'm going to join it to the I'm going to join the side. Yeah, that's the side I'm showing you. I'm going to join it to the center front of our bustier. Remember, I'm working with the lining part of this dress. This is not the main fabric. If you want to put your interfacing on the main fabric, you can, but I just decided to put it here because the boning will be fixed in the lining. I will not be fixing the boning on my main fabric. I want my boning to be enclosed. So I'm going to use my pins to hold them together so that it's going to be easy for me to sew. Guys, again, be patient. If you're patient in sewing, you will not encounter any form of problem. Take your time, be patient, and label your work neatly. Take your accurate seam allowances. Whatever you give to your um fabric is what you should take out. Do not take less, do not take more. So here I am pinning them together like this, and I'll pin the other side as well and sew it. So we're done with the front part. Let's work on the back. Before joining the back together, I decided to cut out the placket for our eyelet. That is the compartment where our eyelet is going to be sitting on. Yes, that's flap that is going to carry the eyelets. So that is what I am cutting here. I just took the remnants of the fabric and folded it into two this way, and I'll be making use of 2.5 inches for the width of it. And I made use of 3 inches here because I thought maybe that would be enough, but it ended up too big. So we're going to be using the center back of our pattern in cutting out the shape and the length of it. So right now I'm just using my fabric pen to draw out the line out to make it straight. Then, and remember guys, we're going to be interfacing this with a hard stay. I forgot to mention that as part of our materials. So we'll be making use of a very hard stay for that side of the bustier. So right now I'm just using my chalk to make it clearer, the line clearer. So this is our center back or side back. This is the side back, I beg your pardon, of it. So you're going to place your side back like this. That is where the dart, you'll be placing where the dart of your side back is on that line this way, and I'll be cutting it out like this. So we use the side back dart, the dart placement where you're going to join the other panel for the back. I used it to cut out the length of the placket this way, as you can see. Then I'm going to be placing the dart area like this to cut the placket out this way, just to make sure that it's going to align and sit very well in between the both panels of the back. So that is what I'm doing here. I've used it to cut out the shape of the dart. So whenever I want to sew the plackets on it, it's going to rest well on the back. That is why I used it in tracing out. So I'm going to be cutting another pattern of this as well and interfacing it. When that is done, as you can see, I'm just using my chalk to indicate the top part of the placket. That is the one that will be at the top, and the other side will be bottom. So I've interfaced it with my hard stay like this, and I'm going to go ahead to join the back side for this bustier. You can see all my pieces beautifully laid, and here are the plackets for the eyelets at the back. Then right now I'm just going to remove my patterns from it like this. So I'm going to arrange them so that I will not be confused. What I'm trying to do here is to label every pattern. You can see I wrote T on that part and B on the other part, that is to indicate the top and the bottom, so that I would not be confused and I will not do the wrong thing when joining. It is very crucial to label your patterns, guys. Label the wrong side and label the right side as well, especially if your fabric look alike on both sides. You can hardly identify them. So I'm going to go ahead to label them all. So this is just a quick video on how you can actually iron your breast cut. So I'm using my tailor ham, that round puffy thing they use in ironing cup of a bustier, the cup of a bustier. So I'm just going to open up each and every seam this way. Guys, you need to be patient and you take your time. Also be careful with your fingers, so that you will not burn yourself up. So you're just going to open it up this way and iron it smoothly and neatly, one after the other. You iron it flat, because if you don't do this, your work will not look neat and it will look somehow outside the garment. So if you iron your seam flat this way, everything will look neat. So after doing that, I'm also going to take the center panels of my back, that is where the zipper is going to be resting, and I'm going to fold in the zipper allowance I used. I made use of 1.5 inches, so I'm going to mark it this way on it, and I'm going to be folding it in, ironing it in. After ironing it, now this is the placket. I've gone ahead to serge the top and the side, except the bottom parts, because that is where our boning is going to be. So I have placed them on the center panel of our back, and as you can see, I've ironed my zipper allowance in so that I would not, everything is going to be accurate. Now what you can see me do is that I'm just marking in the same allowance I'm going to use in sewing the placket to the center panel of our back like this. So I'm just going to use those lines as a guideline when sewing. I'm doing this for the sake of the beginners and for my sake as well, so that I'm the type of person that does not like losing all the time. It's make the work tiring and boring, so I make sure that I do my best in avoiding little mistakes as this. So if you do this, trust me, your sewing life will be easy. So now I'm going to attach the placket to the body. Now I'm going to use my plastic boning in measuring the width of our boning casing. Yes, so that everything, when I'm going to slide the boning into the casing, it's going to be not to be perfect, that it's not going to be too loose and it's not going to be too tight. So I'm just using it to mark it. I'm just leaving a very, 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 very little space away from the boning in order to stitch the lines. Just a tiny space after the boning, that is what you're going to mark. And as you can see, I've ruled one casing out. Then beside the line I will be using for the same allowance, I'm placing my boning there again, and I'm going to leave a tiny space after the boning at the top and at the bottom, and I'm going to connect that with my ruler, so that when I stitch on that line and I put my boning into that case, it's going to be perfect for the boning. I will not encounter any form of problem. So that is what I did, and you should do. So I'm going to take it to my, I'll do it for the other side, and I'll take it to my sewing machine to sew down the placket as well as the boning casing. You're just going to run a long stitch across those lines. Then I'm going to do the same for the other side of the placket as well. Then I'm going to go ahead. I'm sorry I did it off camera. I went ahead to join the remaining side of the panels for the back together, just as I did for the front. Now you can see me, I'm just trying to sew together my lining with the main fabric. I have placed it neatly, aligning every seam together, and I have ironed the seam of the lining flat, and I have stitched them down to create the boning casing. So right now I'm just going to sew carefully with my seam allowance that I used. I'm going to use that to sew it together with the main fabric. As you can see me, I am careful and I am taking my time. I made use of my pins as well, so I'll advise you to do the same. I'm running a stitch around the neckline of the front. So after sewing your neckline, you can see me here notching it. I'm going to notch the neckline carefully. You need to be careful here so that you will not cut through your fabric and ruin everything you've done so far. So I'm going to notch them gradually and carefully, as you can see me doing here. And after notching, guys, you're going to take it to your machine again and top stitch it towards the lining part like this. You allow the seam, your seam allowance to rest towards your lining part, and you top stitch it. So after doing that, what I'm going to do next is to join the sides together. You can see I have top stitched my the neckline of my fabric. Now I'm going to just join the side of my front, the main fabric and the lining together like this, using my seam allowance. When that is done, guys, this is how it looks. You can see how beautiful it is, the inner and the outer. This is the inner part of it. So I'm going to go to my iron and give it a good press. And for the back, I've already joined the neckline of the back together. I'm just going to top stitch it and join the sides as well, just as I did for the front. So this was the next day. I've gotten a boning for the project, and my top part of the dress is already ready. I have ironed them and already sewn the bone casing on the back as well, the back lining and the plackets. So right now it's time to do the main thing for the corset. Without corset is not corset without the boning. So I'm making use of this plastic boning or bones and I'm going to make use of my lighter as well. So what I'm going to do right now is to measure from the edge, the top part of it, and to the bottom, but we are not going to cut exactly the length at the bottom because of the allowance we're going to use in joining the top to the skirt part of the dress. So you're going to leave about half inch away from the bottom, like as you can see me, I've placed my finger there and I'm going to cut it with my scissors. Guys, you need to be very careful because of the scissors. The bone is quite hard and the scissors as well. you have to exercise a lot of pressure on it. So right now, what I'm going to do next is that I'm going to melt both ends with the fire so that it's going to be smooth. If you don't do this for your boning, guys, trust me, your clients will not be comfortable in the dress because they will keep making her uncomfortable. She's not going to enjoy the dress. It's going to be, poking her at her bust and at the waist area. So you need to smoothen the edges out by melting it with your fire. And guys, it's a dangerous thing to do as well. You have to be careful because it's plastic, and if you allow it burn you, it can cause some damages to your skin. So right now I'm just going to pass it through my channel that I have created on the lining. You see the way I'm placing it, the cuff parts facing upwards. The cuff part should face upwards because that is when your the bustier cup is going to be pronounced. So right now you can see me trying to fix in the boning easily, carefully, and make sure that it's touching the end of the bustier. So you can see just one boning in the dress and everything is already taking form. You can see my cup forming well. So I'm going to do this for all the casings. So here is a quick tip for those who will be having casing at the center of their bustier. I discovered this during the course and I didn't like the look of it. I fixed the boning the same way, that is the curve area of my boning facing upwards at the center, and it was giving me a funny look. It was not flat at the center. So I decided to change it by fixing the boning downwards, the curve side downwards, just as I'm doing here, so that when my client wears it, it's going to be flat at the center. You do not do this method for the other sides of your corset. It's just for the center part of your corset. So right now I have fixed my bonings the way they should be, and I have ironed my corset, and it's already ready to be joined to the skirt. You can see how neat looking it is, the same line and everything. You can see my lining area neatly formed and the corset sitting pretty in them. So I'm just about to join the skirt part of the bustier together with the top part, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it into two this way and mark the center part of it. So as you can see, I am marking the center of it so that I would use it in aligning it with the center of my corset to make everything equal. So I am going to place my skirt parts to the corset part, and this time I've not realized that the length of my corset was too long, but I did that off camera. I had to trim the excess off and leaving half-inch allowance, so before doing it, so you're just going to pin it together like this. Make sure they are well aligned. So I'll do it for the front and I'm also going to do it for the back as well. So right now I have gone ahead to join the top with the bottom part for both front and the back of the dress, and what you see me doing here is just trying to fix in my bust measurement divided by 4 on both ends to make half. I'm doing it in half so that I can have accurate measurement. So I am measuring the quarter of my bust circumference on one side, and I will replicate the same measurement on the other side. Guys, when you're measuring the bust, make sure that your bustier is inwards, that is, it's deep. The curve part of your bust is not outward, so that it can accommodate the bust of your client. So make sure that it's placed inwards before measuring. You can see me here trying to adjust with my hands the deepness of the curve area of the bust. So you're just going to measure it and mark it with your chalk. So the next thing I'm doing here is to take my waist measurement. I'm taking my waist measurement from the mid of my bustier, the quarter of it. I'm marking from the center to the side, and I'm doing that on the other end as well, from the center to the other side. This I'm just doing so that I can have equal measurement on both sides. Right now, from the waist downwards, I'm marking my hip length of 8 inches. I'm going to do that on the other side as well. Now I'm going to go ahead to divide my hip circumference into 2. And again, guys, whenever you're doing your markings, make sure you are doing it on the wrong side of your garment. Do not do it on the right side of your garment. So just an advice. So right now I'm measuring the half of my hip circumference. I'm putting it on the hip depth line, that 8 inches. I'm going to mark the half of my hip circumference this way. And after that is done, I'm just going to connect the lines together with my ruler. So the next thing I'm going to do after shaping the front of my dress is to install my zipper, and I'm going to do this by laying the both sides of my back dress, the back pattern, like this on top of themselves, right sides facing each other. So I'm going to lay them equally this way. And I'm going to use my zipper as a guide. I'm going to mark the length of my zipper but 2 inches upwards, not the exact length. I'm going to mark it this way, and right now I'm just going to mark where my slit is going to end. From the bottom, I'm going to measure 8 inches upwards, or from that marking there, you can just go down by 4 inches like this. And I'm going to sew in between the markings and install my zipper. So when that is done, it is time to fix our eyelet using the eyelet plier and soldering iron. So guys, I have joined the front to the back, and I have also installed my zipper. I have sewed the slits and hemmed the dress. The final thing to do now is to fixing the eyelets. So right now I'm just marking the positions where the eyelet is going to be, and I am just marking 1 inch in between each position so that they can be equal and look nice. So here I am marking it on both sides. I'm going to do that for the second side as well. So when that is done, you're going to use your soldering iron that is already hot to melt your holes. You can do this method, or you can make use of your scissors in cutting it, but make sure the holes are not too wide for your eyelets. You see how smoking hot my soldering iron is. Guys, you need to be careful. Make sure that your fingers are not between or under the directly under the holes, so that you will not burn yourself. So here I am just burning it little by little at first, and I'm going to use my eyelet to test the um holes if they can pass through it. So here I am, I'm trying to force it in, but it's not going through. So I'm just going to use the soldering iron to melt it again a little bit bigger. So I'm just going to fix my eyelet inside the holes this way, Guys, you can see I've already fixed one, and I'm just going to use my plier to, install it properly in the hole. You can see how beautiful it's looking. Now I'm going to use my eyeler. I'm using the flat parts on the flat part of the eyelet, the flat part of my plier on the flat side of the eyelet, then the other part will be under it. Now I'm going to put it this way. You can see the flat part on the flat side of the eyelet. Then I'm going to apply every pressure and strength you have in your body. You're going to use it to compress it. You can see the way I'm using both ends to squeeze, to press it very well, because if you don't do this, your eyelets will not be fixed well, and probably they'll end up, coming off. So you have to do that. And so guys, this is the final look of the bustier dress, looking all snatched and beautiful. The color again gives life. I think navy blue, it's quite a beautiful color. And guys, tag me, send me pictures if you try this, if you're going to try this for yourself. And do not forget to subscribe to this channel. Guys, do not watch alone and pass. Watch, like, subscribe, and share to your friends. It actually encourages me to do